It's great to be with Maggie this morning and to be able to talk to her about something that happened to her a few weeks ago. And I'll let her talk to you about that. Now, Maggie, I want to ask you what happened just tell us about it, please.
Right, well, it all occurred on the last Friday in May. As we were allowed to, I had social distanced and had a picnic with a friend. We were coming down the track from the churchyard and past a group of young children. They were sitting either side of the track, so we social distanced in the middle. And there were a couple of lads on bikes. One sped off down the hill, and as I walked away from the group, the other one sped off and straight into me, hitting me in the back, which set up a sequence of events. I was catapulted into the air and landed face first on the tarmac.
Goodness me, what were your injuries, Maggie?
At the time, you don't know these things, but I had dislodged a tooth, which remains dislodged, chipped a tooth, broken my nose, and had facial cuts and bruising.
So who came to your rescue? What happened?
Right. Well, there were some walkers. I was with a friend, and there were some walkers who saw the incident. So they ran off back to their home and got ice packs and summoned the paramedics, and thus the police arrived. So I was put in a neck brace and on a body board, and spent the next 2 hours in A&E on a board, making sure I hadn't injured my neck or back, which I hadn't, fortunately. Wow.
And I remember you telling me on the phone that the person you were with was a bit more frail than yourself.
Yeah, definitely. The gentleman I was with is a rather rotund gentleman who had, in the last 10 years, had triple bypass surgery, so open heart surgery. And he'd also, 3 years ago, had a hip operation. So I was just so thankful that it was myself who was the victim of this accident and not him, because I feared that if it had been him, he may not have got off the ground again.
Yeah. But Maggie, it wasn't just that made you so positive when you spoke to him on the phone. There were several things that happened that just, it'd be great if you could share them.
Yeah. No, I really felt right from the moment it happened that the Lord was in this event, and subsequently that proved the case. I mean, paramedics were lovely, and I've got good attention in A&E. Obviously, they didn't want me there too long, but subsequently, when I went back to my daughter's home, she has an annex in her garden, so I went there to be looked after for a couple of days. And when we were looking for a dentist, because I'm not registered with a dentist, I'm going to be totally honest, because I think this is what church is about. I have not been to the dentist for over 20 years. So I was rather kind of concerned about how I get some dentistry in this lockdown period, as dentists were not going to be open until the 8th of June. So my daughter phoned her dentist, and they gave me lots of good advice, but said they weren't taking on new patients. So my daughter said, well, can I make an appointment for myself? Because she has ongoing dentistry. She has a fixed brace. And they said, yes, I'll make an appointment. And she gave her name, Faye Messenger. And then Faye said, am I talking to Vicky Messenger? And Vicky said, yes. Well, this happens to be my son-in-law's cousin. Things changed. Suddenly, there was an appointment for me. I went to see them the second day of opening, the 9th of June. And have received some advice, x-rays, scans, and have now a treatment plan for the first time in 20 years. So that was the first thing, which I just felt this was of the Lord's making, that he was in this. The second thing was a phone call from the police a couple of days after the accident. And I was talking to the officer, and he said, oh, I'll drop round my contact details, because he was advising me to make a claim, because he said I would be very much out of pocket, which I now find I will be. dentistry doesn't come cheap. And he said, I'll drop it round to your house. He said, you've got to skip on your drive. Well, I have got to skip on my drive because I'm having some building work done, but it's only been there 2 days. So I said to him, how do you know I've got to skip on my drive? And he said, my sergeant lives in the village, and I have been talking to his sergeant, unbeknown to me, only 2 days previously when we've been feeding horses together. So he couldn't be more helpful. He has said that if I have any problems with the claim, to get in contact with him, and he will deal with it. He will be the point of contact. This took such a weight off my kind of shoulders at a time when I was feeling very shaken up. Yes, and I just felt, again, this is incredible. This is not coincidence. I spoke to many of my friends in the course of conversation, and they have said, "Oh, what a coincidence!" And then one of my friends, who we often talk about spiritual matters, said, "But you wouldn't see that as a coincidence, would you, Maggie?" And I said, "No." And by this incident, I have been able to witness to so many people about the Lord's love, his grace and blessings to us. So I would encourage you to just to use every opportunity to just witness to the Lord's love and care.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, Maggie. I think one thing that struck me as well in your story and how God's in the details was particularly the police sergeant and how you'd been speaking to him, a stranger really, someone that lives in your village that you didn't know, and yet actually because you'd been out and talking to him, later on God was able to use that to help you as well. And I think in this time we're all learning to actually befriend people and to be open, and it's great you're having opportunities to share your faith and what God's done. The God that's in all the details, even in disasters.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, Maggie. Yeah, it's been really courageous of you to get up in front. I'm actually really pleased to see you as well, because when you described your injuries, I thought, goodness, I wonder how you're looking. And I think some people's noticed on Zoom maybe there's something wrong with Maggie. But you're looking much better. I hope you're feeling more comfortable.
Yes, I have lost my panda eyes. Yes, and the bruising is, 2 weeks on, the bruising is nearly, kind of faded. Yeah. Okay.
That's great, Maggie. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And I'd just love to be an encouragement to our congregation. Thank you.
Okay, great.